Thank you. So once again, I will put the QR code later, so that in the break session, so that you guys can get into the Google Drive again. So today my topic is actually very simple. It sounds to be very fancy or stuff, but I think if you guys actually really do LLM to integrate with LLM, and you guys must know what's structural output. So today I want to talk about the current situation of LLM structural output, and what's some new stuff that we can leverage on to enhance our developer experience. So let me get the mic again. Yeah, I forgot. So some of my background. So currently I'm actually I have been in Silicon Valley for 3 months before. Yeah, but due to some other reason that I quit. So I actually have 4 years experience in Python. That I start using Python in my undergraduate, and I use Python for backend and also some cloud native platform development that which is my current job is working on, and also some DevOps and also SRE stuff. So someday I will see if I can share some of my experience in Silicon Valley or not. But that's not today's part. And this is also the link for the GitHub for the code for this talk. So you guys can later just get into the GitHub link and to just see or run the LLM actually. So yeah, what's the current situation of LLM-driven tasks? So how Ethan just mentioned, the LLM hallucinate. So now whenever we actually need to output a proper JSON, and we will usually pray. So you just tell the LLM, I need this job, bro, just don't hallucinate, just output me a proper JSON. So if you guys actually knows windsurf or cursor, and you can, there is some man-in-the-middle attack that actually extract the prompt. And it also said maybe for windsurf, also some code editor, cursor. It said okay, windsurf, you are actually in debt, and you need to work hard for windsurf to repay your mother who has a cancer and something like that. So they also force the LM to actually don't hallucinate, and they need this kind of technique. So we actually pray. And another problem is that usually when we do the LLM task, and whenever the output is quite long, and we users actually needs to wait a long time. So it actually is a bit niche that for some models like chain of thought or deepthink, they actually really needs that long of time. But for some others, that they actually just need a lot of time to output the data. So that time for waiting the whole chunk of text to output can actually be avoided. And another one is that maybe you have some custom output syntax, then you want to extract them. So very common format to extract is using regex. So as a things go, so whenever you use regex to solve a problem, then now you have 2 problems now, because regex itself is also a problem. So if you guys actually see that regex, to be honest, I don't understand at the first glance, and even it outputs the graph here, and it actually takes me quite a time to understand. So when you are approaching a new code base of LLM to extract the data, so what does it do, you may ask. So another thing is that whenever you are dealing with some app, a very simple way to design your app is called the DDD, domain-driven design, which means that you actually have a specific topic or the problem to solve. So very often you already have the entity of the problem. Let's say you write it in Pydantic or some special data class. Then actually your data object is already contextual. It already contains the information, or what are the fields means, or what the data you need to export, right? So why not we just use the LLM to output directly the data object, but we need to spend time to extract them and pass them. So here comes like a recent framework called Instructor. So actually it is quite old already, but like recently it gets more and more popular because it has a plug and play validation framework with Pydantic, which requires you a really minimal code change. And also it has the Pydantic core functionality of integration, but without the need of using something like Pydantic AI. So if you guys actually use LangChain or LangFlow or Pydantic AI or Marvin, those stuff, and you actually will see, okay, what the hell, why there are a lot of new stuff. Like Marvin run .thread, I actually don't know what they are, right? So because a lot of frameworks, they actually has some new level of abstraction that actually you need to get to the ecosystem before you can actually get the jobs done. But Instructor is a very good library that you don't actually need to do a lot of stuff, just plug and play, just change your OpenAI package from like having another line of import. And in the end, it helps reducing the lines of code, the LOC, and lets you to have less eye strain, like as a developer to look the code. So if you guys actually use OpenAI, so I know the code is a bit small, but that's not the real like the gist of the slide. The slide is that the gist is that actually when you actually need to use OpenAI to do the structural output, you want them to output a specific format. So a trick is that you define something called a tool that allows OpenAI to just output the parameters. Let's say now I want to extract the name and also the age of the user from a string. So you have to define like, okay, I have the properties, the name, and also the age. And you define as a function, and you extract them from the output called the tool calls. So this tool definition is actually very clumsy. So if you use the Instructor package, it actually is very simple. So at the first, you define the Pydantic schema, the user with the name and also the age. And I actually have defined the string method that actually allows us to print the string directly with the print function. So I'm using the Fireworks AI because it serves the DeepSeek model and also in a serverless way, so I can actually save some money. And the special part is that if you guys actually use OpenAI, you will find this line very similar. The client.chat.completion.create is actually is patching the OpenAI's create function. The Instructor package actually has the similar API as OpenAI, so you really just need to do something like Instructor from Fireworks or from OpenAI, and you can do the similar thing. And the response model here actually defines what's the output type of your prompt, that it will extract the user type directly. So if you just print the user here, and it actually prints like Jason is 25 years old, which is because I have defined the string here. If not, it will just output like the user object or something. So let me see if I can show you the, wait, if I can show you the code. Yes, here. So here I actually, for the basic part, I have the user type, and also I have something called the native firework, which I actually use the OpenAI to interact with the DeepSeek. So here I said like, okay, please extract Jason is 25 years old from the function, like extract the name and age of the user from the string. So it will output the string and the name and also the age, so that I can use something called the user.model validate. And you can see actually it's quite long, many lines of code. But if you use Instructor, it's very simple. You just define like fireworks, and then from fireworks, get the client, and client chat completion. So the response model here is actually a new argument compared to the native OpenAI one. So it ensures that the user here is the user type. So when I run it, run example one. So it will actually build the Docker file to run. So it needs some time because it's calling the LLM. So you can see here the output, both the native firework and also the instructor firework. Also outputs JSON is 25 years old. So you can see we can actually reduce the lines of code from this native function, which is like 40 lines, to just 10 lines or 20 lines. So that's not the only capability of instructor. How do I get back? Wait, what's wrong? Bear me a second. Okay, so I think perhaps my PowerPoint is a bit weird. So we can just get through the code. Okay, so just now we have introduced a basic capability of extracting the Pydantic type. So another thing is that instructor actually helps you to export the string. So let's see like what's extracting the string. So here I have actually written some front-end code that actually allows me to get the work experience from my resume. So I have defined 3 endpoints, but we will just use 2 here. The first one is that I will use something called the native blocking one, which I call the OpenAI, and to do the check completion. It said like pass the following resume into multiple work experience and don't include other like volunteer works, just output the like the normal one. So here for the user here, the user prompt, I will just say the resume. And there's a lot of fields here to define like title, company, start date, end date, and description. And it's actually very clumsy if you are a developer to handle this code, because for a proper Pydantic model, you already have the schema, right? Then you have to write it again. So why you have to do this hustle and bustle, right? So in the instructor one, it's actually very simple. So you get the instructor from the patch, also like instructor from fireworks, and then you say create iterable, and also the string is equal to true. And the response model is work experience. So for every time, it passes a work experience type for you. So here for the response, you can see it is a generator of the work experience. So for the streaming, it's also very simple. You just write the stream, the generate function, and to yield the data. So you can use something called the server-side event to just get the data very seamlessly. So let me just show you the front end here. So So here is the resume work extractor. So in the left-hand side, I have the native blocking one, and it records the time to first byte, which is how long you have to wait for the content to get. And for the instructor streaming, it's actually also have something called the time to first byte. So let's compare them. So here's my proper resume, and I just actually click pause. So I forgot to actually do the loading button, so you have to actually wait for some time. So you can see here, for instructor streaming, it actually outputs one by one, and in a very structured format. And in native blocking, it really has to wait for all the data to stream. But so for some of the tasks, you might find having the stream output is better because actually the experience is better. Like you have something called lazy loading or something like that in front end. Okay, so can I get back my PowerPoint? Okay. So another thing is for instructor is to support enum. Enum in instructor is actually defined as the string enum field or just Python enum, and it integrates very well to Pydantic. So basically, you just write what's the type, the product review, which has the enum of product category and sentiment. So let me also show you sample 3. So here I'm also comparing with the native OpenAI code that actually needs a long list of tools, the definition, and also with just the instructor. The instructor one is actually this 10 lines of code that you define the temperature and the response model. So once again, it also supports very well with other enums also. But one of the problems with instructor is actually the elevated number of tokens. So because for OpenAI, the tool definition is actually is more like simplistic than the Pydantic's JSON output. So what instructor actually do is that it patches the create function that outputs the Pydantic JSON schema. So that JSON schema is actually consuming more tokens than these two, the native OpenAI one. So let's try to see like how many tokens that it consumes more. So quite fast this time. So for the native OpenAI one, the input token usage is 329, and the output token is 72. For the instructor one, it actually bumps up to 382, which is 20% more than the native OpenAI one. And also the output token is more or less the same because they also output the similar structure of the Pydantic one. So if the input token elevated cost is a very concern. So let's see if my PowerPoint, okay, is back. Yeah, thanks God. So here we have the problem of like the higher cost of input tokens because as I said, the instructor actually outputs like you have to pass or get the proper JSON schema from Pydantic, which is more. So is there any workaround? So actually there's another framework that also acts like instructor, but it solves the problem of the higher number of input token because you know, if you are really running a business and every time the input token is 20% more, then it definitely adds strain to your cost. So boundary ML, BAML is actually something called a gRPC style of language agnostic DSL, which means that you actually define your function outside Python, but it helps you to generate the function in Python to output the data. So it compresses the input tokens because it knows what DSL is writing, so it doesn't need to conform to a special format of like JSON schema. So it also allows you to have like failover or round robin stuff, and it's very simple to pick up. So what you have to do is actually to define the client and the function. So here at the left-hand side, you actually define the LLM client, DeepSeek, and also some retry policy. And in the right-hand side, you define your functions and the types. Like here, there's something called the work experience type, and there's something called the extract resume function here. So you can see I write my file as .baml, which VS Code totally supports it. And you have to just download the extension, and you can get the syntax highlighting. And you can write, okay, I need the environment API key from the environment, and also like the models and base URL. And for the resume part, so I've defined an enum of my job nature and also the work experience. Also like the company name, start date, end date, like the description. And I define a function called extract resume that I input the resume and I can get a work experience list. So let's see how many tokens the BAML is outputting. Okay, take some time. So in BAML, you can actually get the data from the log. Because it is still integrating with the API, it is improving the API, so you can only get the tokens in the log only. But you can see here the input tokens actually shrinks to 1092 compared to 1300. So why it is that is because, as I mentioned, so BAML actually knows how to output the JSON in its own format. So it actually compresses the work experience field into something that it outputs by himself. And also the LLM understand. So let's say it said, okay, answer the work experience list with a JSON array using this schema, which is definitely a lot of tokens compressed compared to OpenAI one. So here's also a table to compare the tokens. For boundary ML, it's just like 30% less compared to instructor and also the native one. And here are some options that you can use with BAML. So far we have mentioned like what are the good parts of like instructor or BAML, the boundary ML part, but there's still some limitations for all the existing frameworks, like for whatever like native one or like LangChain, LangFlow, those stuff. So the first one is that you still have not smart enough LLM. So in my case, I actually use the DeepSeek V3, the 671 billion model, and only that scale it don't hallucinate much. So you can actually configure some retry and maybe set the temperature lower to conform to your case. And also sometimes you have a lot of complicated schema. So for our case that like the work experience list, actually I just get like the description and also start date and end date. It's actually not a lot of fields here. So if you actually really have a lot of complicated schema, so you might have to do something called the tier generation and extraction, which just ask the stronger LLM to generate the data in more free form and ask the weaker LLM, which is faster to extract the data from the output. So this is the end of my talk to better to use instructor and other frameworks. So feel free to ask me questions about like LLM and like structure output. Thank you. So any questions?
I have a very basic beginner's question. I don't really understand that sort of the JSON code that you're replacing with the instructor, what is that doing? I don't really quite understand what that code is supposed to do. It's quite nested, so I don't really understand what's the purpose of that code. I think you skipped it because I guess most people are familiar with it. I'm not that familiar with this.
Yeah, so in OpenAI, actually you can ask it to, like you, how can I say? So for LM, so what it is doing is that it generates new text, right? But for some of other use cases, you don't want to just extract the text or generate the text. You want it to actually integrate to your existing ecosystem. So you can do something called a tool that you provide a list of the tools. So let's say here, I ask it to extract the data from my prompt to generate something called a user object here. So I define that it is a function that it accepts two parameters. One is the name, another is the age. So by defining this and also the required fields, so you can actually, when you pass it to the check completion, it will say, okay, whether I have the two calls or not. So if I get the two calls, like it said, okay, you should call this function, it will just tell me, okay, what function I should call is the extract user, because I only have one function that I leverage this tool to actually extract the data.
So this is actually producing a program that runs, or is it?
No, just the function name and also the parameters. So if you want to do it a very dynamic way, so you have to do something like global, and you can get the function name and then some arguments. But this is very hard to read. And also I think like no one actually writes like global, call the function and get the function name in the global scope. So it's very niche thing. So that's why I just leverage this thing to do the proper output.
Present for any LLM, or is it only certain LLMs support this feature?
Usually for open AI API compatible, which like DeepSeek and also like Llama should also support it. And yeah. So like as I mentioned, like for instructor, you don't actually need those fields because they actually help you to generate this one. Then so that you can ensure that your output is actually one of the type. Yeah. So any other questions about like streaming or like LM? Okay. Yeah, so if no, then you can always revise or like review the slides of our speakers on the Google Drive. So here is the end of my talk. So now is the break session. So we will have the break to 5:15, I think. Yeah. So the next talk will be Philip's machine learning in predictive maintenance. So feel free to walk around and have a chat with others. So thank you. Yeah.